Hey ho, let's go. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well wherever you are. I am Sean Pugsley Martin. Combined 1-5 NFL and NCAA football teams. A little salty this morning, but this is episode 33 of Pugsley's Pit, and as we always do this time of the show, we ask yourselves the question, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? I am Sean Pugsley Martin. This is episode 33 of Pugsley's Pit. By way of introduction, I'm a freelance sports writer for the Albany Times-Union, avid sports enthusiast, big-time homer for my teams, even though they routinely just rip my guts out. You can follow the show on Twitter at Pugsley's Pit and taking the podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Before we bring in our guest today, I'm psyched about this. She's the right medicine for what's ailing me this morning in my sports world. Coming up later, we're going to talk about the ugliness that is the Raiders 0-2, the Huskers 1-3. Coach of the week gets fired deservedly yesterday. Send beer. It can help. Okay. But before that misery, we're going to bring back a familiar face to those who followed my podcast in the last 15 months or so. Let's welcome Ashley Miller, WNYT 13 here in Albany, former co-host of M&M across the board. We miss you. There's your mug. Love it.
Brought it back.
Yeah, mine's at home. I had it out this weekend, but I'm whatever.
You better bury that thing.
It's tough. Hey, so things are pretty good in your sports world. Mine's a disaster.
Yes.
The Yankees are in first.
My sports world is sort of the polar opposite of your sports world, which I have for a pretty long time been where you are with my Syracuse, not so much the Yankees, but still the expectations of the Yankees. I mean, the Giants for sure. So I have felt your pain. Right now, I'm just not feeling it as much as you.
It's just terrible. I mean, Usually if one team's down, okay, I'm kind of used to it with being a Raider fan all these years.
Yeah.
But not Big Red in Lincoln. And, fortunately for me, I left the game. They were up 7-0 the other day to go to my boys' soccer game. So to me, what I saw, I loved. But when I started getting text messages by my Oklahoma buddy, I knew it wasn't going so well. So Giants 2-0. I mean, I put on Twitter, somebody asked me, what's the lock of the week, opening week? I said Tennessee over the Giants was the lock of the year.
Yikes.
2-0 G-Men.
And that is how the NFL season has gone for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So listen, we make picks for our Honorado and Company show, and we pick 6 games, spread, whatever. First week, 4-2. I mean, you can't ask for much better than that when you're picking against the spread. This week, pending tonight's outcome in the Bills game, I'm 0-5, Sean. 0-5.
Wow.
It's not good.
What's up with the Giants? Are they just look? You could say Carolina's no good. Baker Mayfield didn't look very good yesterday. Okay, they're not good.
Yep.
Tennessee was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year at home. What's been the Giants' formula? Is it new coaches? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly that. And listen, it's a little bit of fool's gold, or like smokescreen, I would say, because number one, I think people and me as well, I was a little bit off the Titans. I think the Titans are down. Obviously, you lose a guy like A.J. Brown. That offense is going to look different. And you can't expect a guy like Treylon Burks to just come in and take the place of an A.J. Brown. That's not how the world works in the NFL. So I think the Titans are a little down. You said it. The Panthers aren't a very good team. That being said, this is a Giants team that in past years has not won those games despite a down Titans team and a bad Panthers team. Those are games that they just don't win. So I think fans are excited. It is mostly, I believe, because of the coaching change. The personnel is very much the same as what they brought back last year. A healthy Saquon Barkley certainly helps. We saw what he did in week 1. He's a game-changing running back when he's healthy. He wasn't great yesterday, but he wasn't awful. 72 yards rushing, I think. That's not an awful game. But he wasn't super effective. But this is a team that is obviously playing for their coach. Brian Daboll has been aggressive. He goes for 2 and the win. Like, these are things that a Joe Judge, Ben McAdoo coach Giants team would never have done. And you can tell the players are buying in. They enjoy the aggressive mentality, and they're playing for their coaches. And that's all you can ask for. Even if you're not winning games ultimately, I think the feeling is different around this team.
Look, all that matters is what's your record, right? You play who's on your schedule, and 2-0 is 2-0. I mean, how's Daniel Jones been? Are they winning in spite of his limitations, or is he growing a little bit?
No, I don't think they're winning in spite of him. And he's such an interesting case because I said this before we went into the season. I said the worst thing that could happen is that Daniel Jones is mediocre and they keep him around because of that. I want him, as a Giants fan, I want him to be god awful or to start breaking records. Like, I need you to be one of the best quarterbacks or one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, because I would like it to be an easy decision on whether or not you keep him. If he plays the way he's playing now, which is efficient, but not great, like, he's not making any crazy throws that make you think, oh my God, this guy is the next big thing. But he's mobile, number one. He's athletic, so he can extend plays with his feet, and that's what he's done. He picked up a first down yesterday to seal the game, and he's made the throws he's had to make. So while nothing has been like eye-popping, it's been good enough. So they're not winning in spite of him, but they're not winning because of him either. They're winning because of Graham Gano. And this is one of the things that kind of struck me yesterday. The Panthers gift the Giants 2 turnovers within the first 5+ minutes of the game, and they only get 6 points out of it. That's a concern. When you're kicking field goals in the NFL instead of scoring touchdowns, you're not going to win the big games against good teams. So I don't think this team is ready to win against good teams yet. But like I said, they're ready to win, and they're winning against mediocre or bad teams, and that is still a change from the past.
Sometimes teams need to learn how to win. Doesn't matter who you're playing.
Absolutely.
I saw a headline today that kind of irritated me from Derek Carr saying we need to learn how to win. It starts with me. Now, I'm tired of hearing that. And you won last year. You went to the playoffs.
Correct. That's a team that is past that point. You can't
That is past that point.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
You know, we talked for, I think one of the Raiders' problems is that none of their guys played in the preseason. I think you got to get some reps. Practice can't simulate everything. So that's just part of it. I mean, how do you feel about that? It makes sense. You got to have reps.
Yeah. And I think it's true, because if you look at a team, the team that strikes me the most is the Packers. Aaron Rodgers does not play in preseason games. They came out last year and got housed by the Saints in week 1. They came out this year and got beat up by the Vikings in what I think shocked a lot of people. Week 2 last year, just fine. Week 2 this year, just fine. Yeah. So I think there's something to be said. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks on the planet. But when you don't take game reps with a slew of receivers who you've basically never thrown to before, you've got rookies all over the place, a guy like Christian Watson. Obviously, you have a guy like Randall Cobb, and Sammy Watkins is a veteran, but some of those pieces are new to this system. You saw it in game 2. They were A-okay against the Bears, but sometimes it just takes a little bit. If you're not playing in preseason games, how do you think this is going to magically develop? It's not going to develop in practice where you're playing against your own team.
No, even going back to the Raiders, they have a new coach. They're learning a new system.
Totally.
No.
Listen, Sean, maybe this will make you feel better. We just did a rapid reaction, and Chris listed 4 teams: Raiders, Colts, Broncos, and Bengals. Which are you most concerned about? My answer immediately was, I'm least concerned about the Raiders. Take them out of the equation.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not concerned about the Raiders at all. I know that it sounds crazy, but they're the best 0-2 team, maybe aside from the Bengals, but the Bengals have glaring issues.
They do.
One of them being their offensive line. Joe Burrow is still running for his life, despite being sacked 1 billion times last year. They made adjustments, and Joe Burrow is still running for his life and getting hit every other second. The Raiders don't have that kind of glaring problem, and they have arguably one of the best receiving tandem trios in the league. I think it'll be okay, but a meltdown like yesterday can't make you feel good as a Raiders fan, because that can't happen to a team that has playoff or Super Bowl aspirations.
No, I left to go to the airport. It was 20-0 at halftime, and I was like, oh, beautiful, because I'm not going to be tied up picking up family at the airport. I'm like, I don't have to worry too much about the second half. And then I check my phone and yeah. Hey, what I thought the game of the day yesterday, I loved it, was Miami coming back over Baltimore. That game looked like it was done and in the books.
Yep.
And Tua and Tyreek Hill just got rolling. What a
Yeah.
great win for the Fish, 2-0.
Yeah, this is a team too that is interesting because I think is less of what I called the Giants a little bit of a smokescreen. I think this is less of a smokescreen for the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel is like a quirky, weird dude, but I think he's probably good for this offense. He's shown confidence in Tua, which is part of what I think had been lacking in that, number one, the coaching staff, but number two, the organization as a whole was a lack of confidence in Tua. I'm not a big Tua believer. I have knocked him before. I just don't he doesn't show the arm strength. And it was clear at times yesterday, you can't be a bad quarterback and throw 6 touchdowns. I'm obviously
No, you're right.
he's a capable quarterback. I'm just not sure he's ever going to be a top 10 quarterback. But when you have Tyreek Hill, I could probably be out there and throw touchdowns to Tyreek Hill. He is such a burner. He's the fastest guy in the NFL. And there were points when he was 10 yards ahead of his defender. Sure, all you got to do is chuck it up. And very often, Tyreek Hill is coming back to the ball on a Tua throw because Tua can't get it to him because he's running so far and so fast. That's the knock on Tua, is the arm strength. But Tyreek Hill is going to cover up a lot of those blemishes because he's so fast and because he's so talented. Oh, by the way, you add a guy like Jalen Waddle and a guy like Mike Gesicki, and I think they rival a team like the Raiders for a trio of receivers that is that good.
Hey, how could you have been 0-5? You didn't have Cooper Rush over Joe Burrow yesterday in your picks?
I did not.
Wow.
And that was one of the games we picked. And I was a little bit nervous. Those big spreads make me a little wary. I think it was 10.5, and it was 10.5 for the Packers game. And that got me too because I picked the Bears. You should have seen me rooting for that Justin Fields touchdown as he tried to reach over. I'm like, just give it to him. Give it to him, because he would have got him within 10. I'm a degenerate. We don't even put money on it. It's just for pride. And I was like, I can't be 0-5.
That's tough. That's tough.
0-5 is tough.
You know, I've never been a big Trey Lance fan. I feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to miss the rest of the year. But San Francisco, they backed it up with Jimmy G, and here he is again. He's like becoming the thing that won't go away in the Bay Area.
Sean, I love this for Jimmy G. Listen, I'll never say Jimmy G is like a top 10 quarterback or the best quarterback and is going to wow you. But Jimmy G has been like the model of consistency. He just gets it done. It doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. But at the end of the day, he also gets treated like garbage. Like they couldn't wait to get rid of him and sell him to the next highest bidder, and yet they ended up keeping him. Whether or not that was because there wasn't interest in Jimmy Garoppolo or because they thought better of it for a situation exactly like this, I don't know. But good for Jimmy G, because he's now getting his chance to kind of like to the 49ers. This is him saying, yep, you know what? This is the guy you drafted. And it's not his fault he got hurt. I get it. But this is the guy you wanted to replace me with. You gave the starting job over me. And now I'm going to go carry your team and see if I can get you to the playoffs. So pat my back, because now all of your hopes and dreams live on me. I love this for Jimmy G. I hope he crushes it. But as I said earlier today on another pod, I wish he was crushing it for another team so that the Niners were feeling bad about it. Now he's going to help the Niners.
Yeah, they didn't treat him very well. I mean, they just dissed him.
No.
Hey, look, before we get to MLB, the news report that Tom Brady's going to take Wednesdays off during the season. I assume that's a Mrs. Brady mandate, since Ward, she's not happy he came back. And I'm reading on message boards, people saying, well, who cares? He probably wrote the playbook. No, he's got to practice. He's got to work on reps with his stand. Doesn't matter if he's 45. He's still got to do it. I mean, what do you think of that? Has he earned that?
Listen, I think he's earned it because he's Tom Brady and he has 7 Super Bowls, and that's part of what you, I think, have to think about when you're the Bucs and you're taking on a guy like Tom Brady. It's like, all right, he's not 38 even. He's 45. Yeah. The dude's 45. So there's going to have to be some maintenance and rest. Like, it's not LeBron on the basketball court. It's a 45-year-old dude who's like ready to retire on AARP, and he's still playing football. So yeah, I think he's earned it. But there are, I don't like the fact that it's like, hey, every Wednesday he's going to get off. Yeah. Well, right now the Bucs aren't exactly clicking on all cylinders. Like they struggled against a Saints team that they consistently struggle against. Yeah, they got the win. Some of that was a defensive effort to hold the Saints to 10 points. So I still am like a little bit wary of, hey, I'm going to take every Wednesday off, even if there's stuff that we need to get done, we need to work on, you and I need to be on the same page, and it's not happening, and he's still taking Wednesdays off, then I'm a little bit concerned. But he's Tom Brady. Like, you've got a chance to win games because he's on the field, and he's the best there is.
Yeah. Hey, NCAA, it's been a crazy couple weeks.
Wild.
You know, I mean, just you think Texas A&M is going to fold up the other night and get Jimbo Fisher fired, and they go and beat Miami. I mean, Herm Edwards got released yesterday.
Yep.
Also, you know, what do you make of this season? It's been wacky.
Yeah, I love it. For me, the crazy transfer portal of quarterbacks is wild to me. You've got Max Johnson leaving LSU, Jaden Daniels coming into LSU, Bo Nix going to Oregon. Like, there are just quarterbacks transferring like crazy, and it quickly changes the landscape of some teams. Like a guy like Spencer Rattler goes to South Carolina. That doesn't really matter because South Carolina is not going to compete in the SEC as it's currently constructed. But I just think there's so much more parity, and it's changing. There's so much more parity in NCAA football than there has been in a very long time. For a long time, it was only Alabama. And then we saw Clemson kind of come up and rival them year in and year out. And now you have Georgia, and Clemson's a little bit down. This Georgia team looks like one of the best teams we've seen in a really long time.
They lost a ton of NFL talent on defense.
I mean, a ton. They had like 5 or 6 first-round picks, I think, last year.
Yeah, they had a lot.
Ridiculous. But I love the parity. I can't stand when Alabama goes out and beats everyone 48-0 every time that they play. That's no fun for anybody. So at least just getting some teams involved and a little bit more competitive for me is fun. App State is a blast. I think if you can't get on the App State bandwagon, you don't like college football, because them knocking off A&M and then them with the Hail Mary against Troy, there's nothing better right now than Boone, North Carolina, in the whole central universe of college football.
Well, I was going to ask you about the other part about the game day there.
Mm-hmm.
And alum Luke Combs there being the guest. I mean, just what a day.
Yeah.
For that school. You get game day there in the national thing and national stage for your team, and then you win that way. That's good for them.
It's amazing. And it's funny because you remember the Michigan win from, I think it was 2008 maybe, so many years back. And that kind of vaulted that team into the national spotlight, and it made people talk about it. And then it was still always like, oh yeah, remember when App State did that? And then they go to number 6 Texas A&M and beat them, and it was like all over again, same thing. We were living it over, deja vu, same team, different opponent, but a top 10 opponent, which is kind of wild. Game day decides, okay, instead of going to A&M this week for that game, we're going to go to App State.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get a better finish.
Yeah, I've been to the game day shows once before, and it was phenomenal. It's a great experience, a good exposure for that
be cool.
Small school. But I'd love to see them keep it going.
That would be very cool.
Give them a shot. Hey, MLB.
It's good for college football. And real quick, how do you feel about the 12-team playoff? I don't like it. I know we talked about it in our podcast prior. I was good with expansion to 6 or 8. 12 is too many.
Yeah, I thought 8 was better. 12, you got 4 teams getting a bye. Okay, it's just where the game's going.
Yeah,
I don't like. I thought 4 was too little when they started, and I'm like, there's no way they're going to keep it at 4. The money's too big.
Yeah, me too. I thought, but now you're playing you're going to play a lot of games. Like, you're extending the football season by 2-3 weeks, and that's only if you don't put a break in between. There's like 2 weeks between the national championship or the semi and the national championship.
Yeah, I don't like it, but again, that's where the game's going. I mean, USC and UCLA are moving to the Big Ten for crying out loud.
It's so bizarre. Pretty soon, we're going to be those people that, like, when I'm 50 and you're 70, 80, we're not going to have any idea we're going to be like, oh yeah, back when they were in. It's going to be impossible to remember where everybody was.
This is true. Careful with that 80. That's a little much.
Listen, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road.
Closer, yeah. Better. Good recovery. MLB, Yankees going to hold on to this thing, or is and what do you guys keep doing? Yeah, I talked about it with other guys a couple weeks ago, Chris and Mike. What are you guys doing with all my former A's pitchers?
They suck. That's what we're doing. We think these pitchers are good, and then we bring them in, and they're no good.
Yeah, Frankie only pitches good in Oakland Coliseum.
Sonny, Frankie. I mean, and now I'm sure Frankie will be on the IL because he doesn't suck. He's hurt. That's okay. Well, whatever you want to call it, put him on the IL so he can figure it out. But it hasn't been good. It happens. None of their trade deadline acquisitions have really panned out for them this season.
What do you make of the MVP talk? The pro Ohtani people, CC Sabathia coming out saying he's the best player ever that we've ever seen. He's the MVP every year. No, he's not. He's might be the best overall baseball player in the game.
Sure.
But there's valuable, his team sucks and Aaron Judge is carrying the Yankees.
Yeah. This is a tough one for me because even Phil Nevin, who's the interim manager of the Angels, who is a through and through Yankees guy, like this is a guy who spent years and years with the Yankees, says Aaron Judge is like his son, says no offense, but Ohtani is the MVP to me. I understand the argument. Like he is doing something that we have never seen in the sport of baseball. So maybe we should make him the king instead of like MVP. I don't know. But yeah, MVP to me, and Trout has won MVPs despite it, but there have also been seasons where Trout hasn't won MVP despite being the best player in the league because he's on a bad team. So he's not the only, Ohtani wouldn't be the only person that this has happened to. Ohtani is doing something we've never seen, and he's doing it at a really high level. He's been one of the best pitchers and one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Nobody else does this. But Judge is the best hitter in all of baseball and plays a Gold Glove center field. So Judge doesn't pitch. That's not his fault. Judge plays, he's one of the best at his position, which happens to be center field or right field, whatever he's playing that day.
Yeah.
For me, when you're going to break a record like Roger Maris, I think he's going to break the record. It would be crazy if he didn't at this point. He's 2 away and he's got 16 games to do it. So, I think he'll break the record. We'll see how close he gets to the Bonds record, which I think people are kind of hoping for. He would have to go on some kind of tear to get that one. But yeah, for me, it's Judge. Listen, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm biased. But he is the best hitter in baseball. And when he's not hitting home runs, he's still hitting for average. Like he's in the mix for a Triple Crown.
Yep.
That to me is an MVP caliber year. And like I said, it's not like he's not playing the field. He's not DHing. He's not David Ortiz. He's playing the field every day and he's doing it at a high rate and high efficiency, clip, talent level, whatever you want to call it.
Subtle dig at the Red Sox. Well played.
Yeah.
Well played. What about the rest of baseball? I mean, the Yankees are going to limp into the playoffs unless they really get it going here. The Dodgers were 144 going into the game yesterday. Is that
absurd?
I'm always concerned about their postseason pitching because it's never really as good as it is in the regular season. Is it their world and we're all living in it, or someone got a run in them? I think Atlanta's a team to beat, by the way.
Yeah. So Atlanta for me has been a little bit of a surprise. I think a lot of us picked them to win the division kind of outright, and the Mets have been the surprise. But despite injuries, Atlanta to me has been fun and surprising because of guys like Spencer Strider, a guy who will probably win NL Rookie of the Year. He's been one of the best pitchers in the NL in his first season in the bigs. That's a team that I think, barring injury, is better built for the postseason and tends to play better in the postseason. We've seen a lot of times the Dodgers, and despite the World Series title that they won, like you said, the pitching lets it down in the postseason. It's never the offense. It's never that lineup. It's never Mookie Betts and Chris Taylor. Those guys are always there year in and year out. It's generally the starting pitcher, whether it's because of injury or because a guy like Clayton Kershaw just doesn't show up in the postseason. So I don't think it's the Dodgers world and we're living in it. I think a team like the Mets and the Braves would have something to say about that in the NL. And then in the AL, I'm just not really sure who to hitch my wagon to because, again, to me, the Yankees are a team that has really underachieved in the playoffs, They tend to limp into the playoffs, which is probably what they're going to do this year. They had a 10-game lead. It was down to 4. And you're going to get a lot of teams from that division who are going to get in and who cause problems for the Yankees. So depending on who they match up against in the AL, the Astros potentially, I don't think the Yankees make it to the World Series, but I think the Dodgers will certainly be challenged even on their side in the NL.
Yeah, I had Toronto in the preseason winning it. They're going to make it. I think Toronto and Seattle are two teams that they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
Yep.
You know, Seattle's got some good hitting. Mitch Haniger's been good since he came back. Julio Rodriguez, but they have a lot of good pitching there too. So it'll be interesting to see how a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in a long, long time, how they react to it. All right, look, before I let you go, was it about 16 days ago, 17 days ago, I'm home, minding my own business on Twitter, and I see this at the Serena Williams match. So look, I have no issue with Russ. I don't like the celebrity quarterback thing going on. That's just me. So I did criticize the tennis lover on Twitter, saying, you know, why season starts next week? It was the weekend before the NFL season started.
Sure.
The season starts next week. Why isn't he back in Denver? It's not like he plays for the Giants or Jets or Philly. He can drive
in his backyard.
Fine. He flew across country. And boy, did I wake up the next morning to a hostile reply.
Oh, it wasn't hostile. I just said it was more about the knock on tennis than it was about Russ. I don't care about you knocking Russ, but like, who wouldn't want to go see Serena Williams play in what is potentially one of her final matches? She's the GOAT. I
just felt that if it's a new quarterback, a new team, the celebrity quarterback.
I don't disagree with that.
I didn't even shred him for having the sunglasses on at 10 o'clock.
You should have. That's the stuff you shred people for. You wear your sunglasses at night, you get roasted. I get it. The lights are bright, but Serena's not wearing sunglasses playing tennis. Take your sunglasses off.
Yeah, no, I'm going to look. He's a Bronco, so I'm going to roast him every chance I get.
And listen, they're not going to be good. So you have nothing.
They were lucky to win yesterday.
Yeah, they're not going to be good.
I was rooting at home so I could come on here and have some fun with that. And then the second half happened in Las Vegas. Oh, well.
They'll turn it around.
Well, we're okay.
They'll figure it out
next week. That could be a tough one. We'll see. Just as long as Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, and listen, they could go out and get. I don't know. Is the worst thing that happens is they go out and get torched by the Bills tonight? Is that bad, or will that start a spiral that maybe gets the Raiders out of it? You don't want them beating the Bills, right?
No, they're not going to win that game.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
They're not going to win the game. Man, I like the doubleheader tonight.
Yeah, I wish they staggered it a little more because I would legitimately watch both games. But I'm more interested in Titans Bills. The problem is like I think they only staggered it by like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. So the Eagles Vikings starts halftime maybe of that first game. But yeah, I'll catch a good amount of both probably.
All right. Well, I hope to see you on a high school football sideline or college hockey game soon. Hey, tell us about your show. Where can people find you?
Cheers. You can catch us, Honorado and Company. I'm the company with my husband, Chris Honorado. Yes, you can find us Thursday mornings, 10 a.m. on News Channel 13 social media channels, as well as we also air on TV. So that show re-airs Saturdays at 6 p.m. on My4, Sundays at 6 a.m. on News Channel 13, if you're interested.
Awesome. It's always interesting.
Thanks for having me, Sean. It was reliving the good old days.
Exactly. A walk down memory lane today.
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy your day.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye now. That was fun. Ashley's awesome. So that's the highlight of the show. Now the crappy part. So I'm going to the airport last night. Raiders up 20-0. I'm enjoying it. Go home, watch the second half, which I was taping, recording, whatever, show my age. And the text messages come in letting me know that my team was blown up. What I can tell, because I didn't watch the second half, no sense getting more aggravated. From what I can tell from people I like to follow on Twitter, that the offense went conservative. You're up 20-0 against a banged up, bad defense with Arizona. Do they go conservative? They take their foot off the gas? No, you can't do that. I know the defense was on the field much of the fourth quarter and then the start overtime, and that's always bad recipe when they're chasing Kyler Murray around. So, all right, so 0-2, didn't envision this at all. You know what? You got to get back up, practice hard this week, go to Tennessee and get that first win. So, as Ashley and I were saying, not that worried about it, not happy about it. I figured 1-1 was the worst case scenario starting the year, although you want to be 2-0, but whatever. You got to get back to it. I thought the one thing yesterday, they seemed to spread the ball around a little bit better than they did opening week. But I think you have a new system. I'm not going to call Adams a new player. He's known Carr forever. He's worked with him forever. But, hey, it's time. You can't go 0-3. Not in the NFL, you can't. So we'll hope for the best in the Raider Nation. Husker Nation. Oh, man. Not to bang on Eric Chenander, the former defense coordinator, but I thought he should have been fired last week as well, even before Scott Frost. He got let go yesterday, and you never want to see a guy lose his job, but 1-3 now. And watching this defense, I think the effort seems to be there, but they just seem to be woefully out of position all the time this year. It's been awful. And so Chenander had to go. Mickey Joseph knows he's good for Mickey Joseph. He's still trying to audition for the job. And to do that, you got to get some wins. The Huskers have a week off. So now you got 2 weeks to regroup before Indiana comes in. And you got to win that game. You got to win the game. You have to win any game. And it starts with that one. And after that, it's at Rutgers and Purdue, who just lost to Syracuse and Illinois. So you got 4 very winnable games coming up. That if you have the talent that we think we have, you're going to win those games. So we'll see how that goes. And folks, Urban Meyer's not coming to Lincoln. They're not going to hire him as a coach. They fired Bo Pelini. Bo Pelini was a defensive-minded coach, and his teams got shredded a lot late in his tenure. Wisconsin, thank you. But Urban Meyer's not. They let him go because of Bo Pelini, because he was abrasive, he was gruff, and he swore a lot. And they brought in Mike Riley, who is the polar opposite, even though he can't coach for shit. They're not going to bring in Urban Meyer. They're just not. He is not the right fit there. I know he's a great coach, and he turns every program around, but I think he got exposed in Jacksonville, and I just can't see Trev Alberts doing that. And even if you did bring him in, and let's say he turned that program around really quick, he's on the first flight out of there, the first chance he gets. He would be using Nebraska to rebuild his image, and the Huskers would have to say, is it worth it for 2, maybe 3 years before he takes off on the next best thing? Now, if you win games, maybe it's worth it, but for the long term, no, that's just a terrible situation. So trying to be positive here, but at least both my teams can't lose this week. So anyway, welcome back. Shameless book plug of the week. It's from my book, Dear Liam and Noah, Letters from Daddy, available on Amazon. Thank you very much for your time today, and big thank you to Ashley for coming back and joining me again. We had a great run at M&M, and I miss it, but it was good having her back today. So on that note, folks, have a wonderful, wonderful week. NFL doubleheader tonight, which is cool. One of the games doesn't start at 9 o'clock Eastern, so you can only see the first half. So enjoy your week, everybody.